Hello, my amazing artists. It's time for your Thursday arty party. Are you ready? We don't have very many of these left, so we are gonna have to do the most fun things we can in a very short amount of time. So today we're gonna look at our very favorite books. How many of you have a book that you carry around with you and it's like your thing, it's your book? I had so many of those growing up and they would rotate out depending on what I was interested in at the time. But I still have a few that are my very favorite books, and a lot of them have illustrations in them. And I wanted so badly to draw like those illustrators. Today we're gonna look at your favorite books and at my favorite books, and I'm gonna give you some tips and hints and ideas on how to draw from your favorite book, draw like your favorite illustrator, and use those things to make your own stories. So let's get started. Here we go.
All right, artists. So this week for your arty party, we're talking about our favorite books. I have a small selection of my favorite books here. If I had all my favorite books, we wouldn't have time to make a video. A lot of you know I love Beatrix Potter and Peter Rabbit, and so I'm gonna go ahead and show you all my books and talk about why I love them and the illustrations and the impact they had on me. So Peter Rabbit, read this, of course, when I was very young. My camera kind of went wonky. And I just absolutely adore the beautiful watercolors that Beatrix Potter does with her story, and just the lovely colors and how tenderly she depicts nature. You almost feel like you're right there in the garden with Peter, in the shed, worrying about whether he's going to get you. This is one of the reasons I studied watercolor in college. All right, now for some other books. This book I love, it's about Lyle Lyle Crocodile, The House on East 88th Street by Bernard Weber. He does this great marker effect with his illustrations, and he just adds all these wonderful little details. Look at all the details in this moving van. I just love all that extra thought that he put into that. A lot of the pictures are very simple. Like for instance, we have a very simple picture of a woman and these two movers. I think this is the mom in the story. But when it comes to other things, he puts a lot of detail in. So you know he can either be simple or use a whole lot of detail. He usually keeps his characters very simple. As you'll see, here's Lyle and his family. And then the backgrounds have a lot of detail, which is really fun when you're reading a book to see all those, to study the pictures and look at all the different things in them. Okay, these are my favorite books to read to my class. Miss Nelson is Missing and Miss Nelson is Back by Harry Allard and James Marshall. James Marshall did the illustrations for these, and he did a wonderful job of keeping it simple. He has just done a basic comic style kind of illustration, and I'm pretty sure he's just colored these with markers. He might have done a little bit of wash for watercolor or something on the side. He's done pen and ink, and the reason you'll see a lot of these dark black lines and artists use pen and ink is because when they're printing these, pen and ink shows up really well. Pencil does not show up well. He's done a little bit of a wash here with some wet, maybe watercolors, or maybe he might have even gotten his markers wet if they're water soluble. So these are really, both these books are really, really fun. Loved those books when I was a kid. Saw those on Reading Rainbow. All right, my other favorite author is Shirley Hughes. She's from England, and she does these wonderful pictures of children. Look how much thought and care she's put into these. Now, these are ink with watercolor. And when I had my first art class in high school, my parents paid for me to go learn watercolor with this sweet lady, and she had me pick a picture from a book that I wanted to copy. And that kind of blew my mind because I was like, I can't do that. Well, you want me to copy a picture from a book? And she said, yes. And she showed me how to copy it, and then she showed me how to paint it. And I have a very large painting of this picture right here. I actually couldn't find it, or I'd show it to you. And that was my first big watercolor that I ever did, and I was so proud of myself. I worked so hard on it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and when I finished it, I was so, so proud. And that's one way you can celebrate a book. Artists copy other artists, guys. The only thing you might run into is if you start selling your work and saying that it's yours. Obviously, you can't do that. But you can definitely learn from copying other artists. Look at this. This looks just like my daughter at this age. She looked just like that. I just love that picture. It's funny how you get things and then you think, oh, look at that. All right, she also does Dogger, which is a really cute book too. About a little boy that loses his dog and then finds him again. Don't worry, and everyone lives happily ever after. All right, now come a couple of books that are really fun. They're both by Arlene Mosel and illustrated by Blair Lent. The stories are wonderful. The first one is my first grader's favorite book, usually when I taught first grade, was Tiki Tiki Tembo. This poor little boy has got the longest name in the whole wide world. It's Tiki Tiki Tembo, No Sa Rembo, Charibari Ruchi, Pip Peri Pembo. And he gets in trouble. He falls down a well, and his little brother, whose name is Chang, goes to try to get help, but everyone makes him say his brother's name, and he says it so many times he doesn't even think he can say it again to help rescue his brother. It's really cute. And this, you guys, is actually a record for the book that has someone reading the book on it, which is so awesome. I just love that. Now, another thing you'll see about books that are older is typically they don't have a lot of color. This one just has a few colors. The reason is way back when color printing was extraordinarily expensive, and the less colors you used, the more likely it was that you could print your book for less money, and the more likely it was that your publisher really appreciated that. So pretty sure that Blair Lent has just used black, blue, and yellow, and obviously blue and yellow make green, so all he has to do is just layer the blue and yellow here to make green. So pretty cool, huh? Anyway, really enjoy this book. I love the illustrations, especially of these little villages, how they're just drawn. I just love, and here's the bridge that Chang has to cross over to find the man with the ladder. I just love how he draws all these imaginative things. And here's boats in the ocean, and he's used some texture here. Oh, you know what? I should have used that for my texture. You guys love to flick your paintbrush and make that stone and that speckly texture. So it's a lot of fun. Oh, and I forgot to say, this is ink that is water soluble. And ink in a regular ink pen isn't usually water soluble, but some other ink pens are. So when water hits this, it spreads out just like watercolor. So that's how he's done these marks here. And you're gonna see that he does that in the next book as well, because he also illustrated The Funny Little Woman. And this book won Caldecott Medal for Best Book the year it was published, Best Children's Picture Book. And it was published in 1972. So everybody liked this book. I think this book is amazing. It has the most soft, delicate watercolors with pen and ink. And I love how he's done this cutout section so you can see underneath. I can't really show you the whole book. I'll get in trouble, so I've just got to do some separate pages here. She goes underground and she's captured by these wicked Oni, but she laughs the whole time. She has a great attitude. Look at this beautiful jade green. And it's all modeled. He's just put different layers over it and let them dry and then put more layers on. He's had it run down here so it looks like moss is growing on this. He's used some water-soluble ink to make this look wet and moist because it's way down underground by a river. I just think this is so cool. And plus on the other side, we've got this whole scene of her house above the ground. And this little sweet man who is her friend, he comes back looking for her. And it shows him trying to knock on her door. And finally at the end, she comes back and everyone lives happily ever after.
Hello, Natty Kitty. Why are you hiding from me? Can you hear her purring? She really likes to be scratched under the chin. She was in the chair in the dining room. Are you still hiding? Where are you going? Go back under the table. We can't see you. Oh, you guys. Oh, hello. Hello, kitty. Are you under the table? What you doing under there? You like it under here, don't you? Yeah. She likes to rub on all the chair legs. Where are you going? Where are you going, huh? This kitty also likes a good back scratch. There we go. She was too long for the camera the other way. Oh, come back. Come back.
Okay, book friends, today for your Thursday Arty Party, we are going to make a picture from your favorite book, a piece of art from your favorite book. Now don't worry, I have an easy way to do this. All you need is a pencil and some paper because we're going to trace today. So my favorite book, well, one of my favorite books, I have a lot of favorite books, is A Bear Called Paddington by Michael Bond, illustrated by Peggy Fortnum. Really enjoy reading this book aloud to my first graders. They really get a big kick out of it because Paddington is like a grown-up but also like a child, and he's a bear and he doesn't understand a lot of the things going on in the world. The drawings are lovely by Peggy Fortnum. She's done some pen and ink drawings. I believe she did most of the Paddington books and then she passed away, and many other illustrators have taken up the gauntlet and done Paddington books. Oh, look at this. This is where Paddington's at the train station. He falls into his tea saucer and donuts go everywhere and tea goes everywhere. So funny. So I'm going to trace the cover right here of my book just to make a piece of art celebrating this book. You need really good light. You don't have to know how to draw. You can just trace. So that's what we're gonna do today. Trace, and we're gonna color. So I'm doing the outline of Paddington. I really like him in this picture because he has made a big mess with some paint. I might have to pick up my page every once in a while and look, and that's okay. Just to kind of make sure I'm doing the right thing. It's hard to see. It's really better if you do this during the day, but it's kind of late when I'm filming this, so I'm just checking a bunch. There we go. His paw is here. He's holding this big giant paintbrush. You can kind of see it through there. You can learn a lot of things by tracing. Don't let anyone tell you you're cheating. You're most definitely learning. Just say, yes, I'm tracing and I'm learning. All right, it's really hard for me to see the face because the hat and the face are very much in the same, they're not the same color, but they're the same darkness. So I'm just gonna go ahead and draw his little face if I can. You might have to finish your tracing if you can't see all of it, and that's okay. He's got a little nose here, so cute. Once you've done this, make sure you show it to someone and share it with them. Okay, so there's Paddington. He's made a big old mess with this paintbrush. This kind of looks like me in my art studio, you guys. Messy, messy, messy. And I want to put the title of my book above it. So I'm gonna try to write it like they wrote it. You know what, let's trace that too, why not? Gosh, it's probably easier to trace the title than it is the other stuff. And I'm not gonna do fancy letters. I'm just gonna trace over the letters that are there.
It's not easy to see all of them because some are lighter than others. And his name is Paddington because that is the name of the train station where he was found. Paddington came all the way from South America on a boat and found a new family in England. There we go. All right, now let's color. Let me get my crayons real quick. You know what? Yeah, I'll use crayons. My crayons are kind of pitiful and broken, but that's okay. All right, let's start with the green hat. And it's funny because a lot of different artists have done Paddington. Oh, this isn't quite the green. I need a darker green. And he doesn't always have his trademark blue coat and hat and rain boots. As a matter of fact, he didn't have rain boots at all in this book. But when a lady in England named Shirley Clarkson started making Paddington bears to sell, she was talking to Michael Bond about it, and she said, I had to put rain boots on him to make him stand up. I couldn't get the bear to stand up otherwise. And she had just got some rain boots, I think, from her kids. And Michael Bond thought Paddington looked so cute in the rain boots and the raincoat that he wrote them into the next book that came out after she made the bears. So that's kind of a fun story, isn't it? Let's see, his hat is kind of an orangey red with a little band here, I mean. That part's orangey red. And I'm gonna go ahead and color the mess on Paddington's coat before I make him brown. A lot of times if you'll do the lighter colors first and then come in with the darker colors, it'll look better. Oh yeah, Paddington is a mess. He's even got marmalade on his suitcase here. And he's got a blue spot right on the front of him, and this is a turquoise blue spot it looks like. Yep. So don't forget, you can learn just by tracing. All right, let's see, now we need to do the brown of Paddington's coat. So we're just gonna, when you have these orange spots, I'm not gonna color over them. I don't want to cover them up. Okay, so my crayons keep breaking, but you know, just keep going. Don't worry about that kind of stuff. All right, so color his fur coat brown because he's a little bear. We might have to go back over with the black and put his eyes back in if this brown's a little too dark. He looks very cute. Now, whatever book you're working on, it doesn't have to be Paddington. Whatever book you're working on, try your best to think about what you liked the best about your book and remember those memories as you're coloring. What I like the best about this book is how Paddington always came out on top, and he always made my kids laugh. My own kids and my students made them laugh. That is a wonderful thing. Okay, his suitcase is that light green that I almost colored the hat. Looks like it's got marmalade on it. Let's see, there's red dripping off of his paintbrush. And then the paintbrush little thing here is yellow. And then the actual, this part is black. Ooh, I'm gonna have to do a video on how to sharpen your crayons because my crayons are getting really flat. gonna go ahead and put his eyes back on there because we kind of lost him in all that brown. All right, there you go, guys. So there's my tribute to a bear called Paddington, where I traced Peggy Fortnum's wonderful drawing and colored it. You guys feel free to do this with any of your favorite books. Hopefully the library will be open very soon in both school and our town library. If not, go find yourself a book at the store, or maybe you've got one somewhere in your house, or hey, make up your own book. All right, until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.